Hi everybody, today's video is going to be a Q&A video, so I'm going to be answering your questions on things regarding how to heal your gut, ancestral nutrition, and just holistic healing in general. A few highlights I will get into is I'll be talking about if you don't want to eat liver or can't eat liver, what are great alternatives to liver in your diet. I'm also going to be talking about how to heal IBS, arthritis, sinus issues, and I'm also going to be going over if you eat really clean at home but don't really feel the best and are having trouble overcoming your issues, and then you go on vacation and you kind of cheat a little and just enjoy your food and you feel fine, what could be causing that and how you can move on from there. So if you don't know me already, my name is Kaylee. I'm a certified nutritionist and gut health specialist. I love helping people to heal their chronic gut issues using the principles of ancestral nutrition and other holistic health principles. So let's get into the questions. The very first one is from Tara, and Tara asks, if you don't like liver, what other meat is good to eat for your gut? Okay, so just a little background if you don't know already, organ meats are the most nutritious meats there are. They're just very, very nutrient rich. So they're really powerful for healing. They're really powerful for making sure you get all your nutrients in. Beef liver is the most nutritious one. So it's just kind of easiest if you're thinking about adding organs to add in liver. So there's a few options here. I do have some clients that cannot tolerate liver for a variety of different reasons when we first start working together. So I will either work on what's causing that at the root and then move up to being able to tolerate liver, or sometimes we can have an alternative in there from the beginning. So my favorite alternative is going to be kidney because it is the second most nutrient rich organ meat and it's still pretty similar to liver. Also, one of the reasons I find that some clients cannot tolerate liver is if they have histamine issues. Sometimes it's just a little bit challenging, and kidney helps you to eliminate histamine quicker. So kidney is a great one if that's why you can't tolerate it. So I would really recommend you get organs in there one way or another. So if you don't want liver, you can go for kidney, you can go for heart. Heart isn't quite as nutritious, but yeah, you can go for different ones. I really recommend you find a way to get it in there, one of those. And if you just don't like the taste, you can always do the organ supplements. That is an excellent option. You know, fresh is best, but they do have a lot of great organ supplements out there. Heart and Soil, Ancestral Supplements, there's a bunch of them that have really clean, high quality organ supplements. And basically they take the organ meats, they dehydrate them and ground them into a powder. So it's a whole food supplement. And I think that's a great option. So let's see. So pretty much, I really recommend you get an organ in there one way or another. If you're just really having issues tolerating them, work on what's causing that at the root so you can work your way up to tolerating them. If you can't tolerate liver, you might be able to tolerate kidney. And if you just hate the taste, you know, you can do the supplements, other ways to eat them. You can mix them into your food. You can buy ground beef that has organs already minced up in it. You can, when you buy a whole chicken, you can mince up those organs and mix it into your meal. You can do a liver pate, you can do liver heart pate. There's a lot of options. There's liver crisps out there, or yeah, the supplements is the easiest way for people that just do not like the taste. So I hope that answered your question. So the second question comes to us from Anna, and she asked, is it possible to heal from arthritis? And if yes, what is the best way to go about it? So yes, it is possible to heal. And the best way to go about it first is to understand what causes disease in general, and then to go a little deeper into what causes arthritis specifically. So disease in general is going to be caused by a few things. One is nutrient deficiencies. Our body needs nutrients for so many things, for our tissues to function, for our different systems in our body to function. So if you're nutrient deficient, your body has to start prioritizing certain systems and functions over other ones. So my favorite example is if you are calcium deficient, your heart using calcium to contract and function is more important than having calcium in your bones. So if you're chronically deficient in calcium, your body's going to start literally taking calcium out of your bones and bringing it over to your heart. Now this happens a million different other ways. That's just one example to kind of drive it home, and it also will connect back to the arthritis as well. So if you have nutrient deficiencies, your bones and joints just are not going to have the same nutrients and density and strength and health than if you have all your if you get all your nutrients in and all your tissues are well nourished. So that's going to be one element that leads to disease and dysfunction in the body in general. Another one is going to be poor gut health. So if you have a poor digestion, you're not breaking your food down thoroughly, you're not going to get as many nutrients out of it, you're going to have nutrient deficiencies. You need nutrients to make digestive enzymes to digest your food well. You can kind of see where that one goes there. But anyway, the other component here is your gut integrity. So if you have leaky gut, then a lot of toxins are going to be able to seep through your gut lining and lodge into different tissues in your body. Different toxins like different tissues. For example, glyphosate, also called Roundup, which is that weed killer, really likes to go into your joints and replace the amino acid glycine. Their chemical structures are very similar. So you can get a lot of issues this way. Heavy metals also really like your joints and connective tissue. So if you have leaky gut and then you're exposed to a lot of heavy metals and glyphosate, that can definitely lodge its way into different joints. This is very, very common for autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and just kind of other things along that line. So if you have joint issues, arthritis, autoimmune diseases, anything like that, it is probably going to come back to that as well. Another thing to note is your gut microbiome. If your gut microbiome is off and you have an overgrowth of pathogenic microbes, you are going to get more toxins actually produced by your gut. Well, you're going to get toxins produced by your gut, which is going to add to that toxin load. So far for disease, we have nutrient deficiencies, poor gut health, and then like excess toxins. So obviously how much toxins you're exposed to is going to play a role here as well. And then the last kind of component here is if you're chronically stressed, that's going to worsen your digestion. It's going to worsen leaky gut. It's going to worsen your gut microbiome. It's going to deplete your body of minerals. So that's another thing to be aware of that comes into play with disease and dysfunction in the body in general. Another is just listening to your body. So if you have small symptoms and you ignore them and they snowball and get worse and worse and worse, that is part of the progression of disease as well. So you want to address all of these and heal all of these in order to fix any kind of chronic illness at all. These are the fundamentals I work on with all my clients. But then you want to go a little more specific. So for the arthritis, you want to get nutrients in that will help strengthen your joints and connective tissues and bones. So you want to get vitamin D, you want to get vitamin K2, you want to get calcium, you want to get phosphorus, you want to get magnesium, and you want to get collagen. You definitely want to get a lot of collagen in there too. So you want to get those nutrients that are going to build healthy, strong bones. It is not just calcium. Calcium is important, but you need all those other ones I mentioned as well. So you want to really nourish those tissues. You also want to really be mindful of heavy metals and glyphosate. So get organic food and just be mindful of things that could have heavy metals in them, and make sure you're buying, stainless steel when you're getting metal for like cooking or things like that to keep it clean. And then of all the other things I mentioned, just if you have other symptoms, work on those. Everything is connected. So that's going to be huge. Those are going to be the main things for healing arthritis. So let's get on to the next question. So the third question is from Roshini. Roshini asked about sinus problems and sneezing daily. And I hope I said your name right. Okay, so there's a few different causes for this. Basically, one thing is going to be toxin overload or exposure. So if you're exposed to a lot of toxins or you have sluggish detox pathways and you're just not getting rid of them, an overflow of toxins can manifest as allergies or allergy type symptoms a lot of the time. Now, it's not always specifically that way, but sneezing and just having those sinus problems can absolutely tie back to that. So I would look at your detox pathways, see how open that is. Are you having daily bowel movements? Do you have any trouble with digesting fat and bile flow? How's your lymph system? I would look at that and then just be mindful of the things in your life, like try to get really clean things, try to avoid toxins as much as you can, use clean products for cleaning, for your body, for all that kind of stuff. Just, that's a whole topic in and of itself. But be really mindful of that. That should help a lot. Also, a really interesting thing I actually just learned because I was helping somebody that does have a lot of congestion and sinus issues is one component that can cause this is your pillow. So if you have a very old pillow that has developed different molds inside of it, and you're sleeping on that for 8 hours plus every night right next to mold, that can absolutely cause sinus issues. So learning that actually made me just buy new pillows. So yeah, so you really do want to make sure your pillows are not moldy and they're not really old. If you buy natural materials, that's even better. I just bought wool pillows that I really, really like so far. Basically, you just want to get those natural materials. They'll be less prone to the molds. And then you can do things like put your pillow out in the sun, wash it. You can look at how to wash it, wash the covers and all that kind of stuff. But just be mindful of like what different toxins could be causing this, because that's a really common one, is mold in your pillow causing sinus issues. Also just, make sure your home is really clean. Dusts and things like that could definitely be contributing. You can use different decongestant like herbs if you want to. So I'll make like a decongestion tea. You can buy one too that just helps kind of get things flowing, because our sinuses is another way that our body detoxes. So we need to make sure that that can flow properly and isn't just getting all inflamed and stuck. And if you are, there's things that need to be moving and getting out. So you can use herbs in a tea. You can also do a steam. So you can like boil some water. You can do it with plain water, but you can also put rosemary or eucalyptus or things like that in there. And then you like lean over the pot and you can breathe it in, and that can really help to just alleviate congestion. I've done this when I'm sick a lot, and it's really nice. Hot showers, you can put fresh eucalyptus leaves in the shower too if you want. Just taking those really deep breaths then as well. That can help a lot. Getting outside is really, really nice too, just having that super fresh air. So those are the main things that I would say there. Be mindful of toxins around your house, really minimize that. Check your pillow, see if it has any weird colors or molds on it, see how old it is, maybe look into getting a new one. Yeah, and then you can use those herbs if you want to just start kind of getting things flowing. Different people are prone to getting kind of backed up in different areas, so you might be a little more prone to the sinus stuff and need to be a little bit more on it. You can also use a neti pot. That can be really helpful. Just note, if you're all like clogged up or inflamed, don't use it then. It's meant to be like a prevention, something you do like every day while you feel normal to prevent your nose from getting all clogged up. So you can look up how to do that. You want to make sure you put the right amount of salt in. It's like half a teaspoon, or a quarter teaspoon. That's why I have to look it up every time I do it. So look it up to make sure you have the right amount. But that's really important so that it's comfortable. Yeah, so that could be another thing that you can do. All right, question number 4. Tongoi, I hope I said that right, asks about the feces of babies and how that's affected by having breast milk or formula. They're mentioning in Japan that when the babies were having breast milk, their feces didn't smell, but then when having formula, they did. And then when switching back to breast milk, they didn't anymore. I was just curious if it was similar in America. So I don't personally have experience with this. I haven't had kids yet, but I have heard that it can affect the color of stools, like whether babies are having breast milk or formula or whether they're starting to eat solids. So I would imagine it probably affects the smell as well. It's said that breastfed babies will generally have that more mustard yellow, a little bit runnier stools after the first few days, after they pass the Meconin and that kind of stuff. But formula fed babies tend to have a little darker and a little more solid stools. And then when babies move on to eating solids, they become more brown and start looking like how adult stools look. So I don't really know much more than that about the smell, but it is good to remember like the quality of what people or babies are eating in general, how well their digestion is. All that will affect the smell to some extent of their stools. If you're really constipated or eat really bad or have a funky gut microbiome, there could be a lot more fermentation and they could be a little gassier and smellier. So that's something to remember too. Yeah, it seems like in general, yep, that's about what I have for that. I hope that was helpful. All right, for question 5, Jana asks about IBS. So she didn't say specifically what she wanted to know about IBS, so I thought I would just kind of share a few things that I think would be the most helpful. So first, what is IBS? So I have a whole video that actually goes into the exact criteria of IBS, so if you want to check that out, I'll link it up above. But basically, IBS is going to be either constipation or diarrhea or alternating, and then just having like a change in the frequency of your stools compared to before when you were more normal, and a change in the consistency. So they might get runnier or they might get harder. And then it's usually paired with some kind of discomfort in the abdomen as well. And yeah, also another thing with it is IBS can be a little vague and weird, but mostly it's like, okay, you definitely have gut issues. You've had them for a while, but you don't have something more severe like Crohn's or colitis. So oftentimes if you have really bad gut issues and you go to the doctor and they do a bunch of tests and they're like, oh, everything's normal, they'll be like, oh, you have IBS. So that's kind of what it is. And what causes it is a variety of different things, but mostly it's going to be poor digestion if you're not digesting your food well. At the beginning of digestion, once it gets down in your colon, it's not going to go so well either. So if you just have poor digestion, that could be weak stomach acid, that could be poor bile flow, low digestive enzymes, kind of a messed up gut microbiome, anything like that. The gut microbiome is huge. If you have an overgrowth of pathogenic microbes, some of those, or a lot of those will produce gas, which will affect if fluid is drawn to or away from your colon. So your gut microbiome can have play a huge role in whether you're getting constipation, diarrhea, or alternating between the two. Another thing that can come into play here is just your diet in general. Are you eating a nutrient-dense diet that doesn't produce a lot of excess weight and will help your body? Or are you having a diet that produces a lot of excess waste that's going to be fermenting in your colon, causing a lot of gas, maybe backing you up and causing constipation? That is a huge, huge cause if your diet is off. Stress can impact it a lot, like pretty much everything else. Yeah, those are going to be like the main things. You can get a little more specific when you get into whether it's constipation or diarrhea, and I have a lot of videos on that you can check out if you want. And if you want to know how I overcame my IBS, I had it for 10 years. I had the constipation side of IBS. If you want to learn more about that, I will link that video up above and you can check that out. Yeah, but in general, for how to heal, you really want to get your whole digestive system functioning really well. You want to eat a really nutrient-dense diet that doesn't produce a lot of excess waste, like I was saying. You want to make sure you have the right motility in your colon. You don't want it too fast or too slow. And you want to make sure you are balancing like fluids in your colon as well. So mineral intake plays a huge role there, managing stress, moving your body, taking care of your overall health. I go into this a lot more in depth in those other videos, so feel free to check those out if you want to learn more about IBS. So the 6th question is from Brandon, and he asks, thoughts on coconut water? Is it a better source of hydration than regular water? I love this question. So it is a great source of hydration. Now, what makes coconut water so great is that it has minerals in it. So if you just drink plain water and you drink way too much of that, it can become dehydrating over time. So you need to make sure you're having minerals with your water. Now, coconut water, it's hard to say if it's really better. It's better to down a bunch of coconut water than down a bunch of water, but you want to be having the right amount. So you want to listen to your thirst cues. Coconut water is a great option. I think water is a good option too. It's just for water, I would always recommend adding a pinch of quality salt to your water just to make it a little bit more hydrating. So yeah, both are great options, and that is what makes coconut water so great. All right, question number 7 comes from Kaya, and she wants to know, why can we eat everything in Europe and not have flare-ups and super clean here and suffer? This is a great question, and I have heard this multiple times before. There are a couple of reasons. It's gonna vary case to case, but I'll go over the most common ones. So one is food quality. So there are definitely a lot of places in Europe that are very well known for their excellent cuisine, and they really, really put a lot of emphasis on where they get each of the products, the meat and the veggies, and the quality of it, and it can just be really high quality for sure. And then also, I know there's a lot more things banned in Europe as far as like chemicals and stuff, so I'd imagine it's probably a little bit cleaner in that sense too. So that could be one thing. You know, this is vague, it's a little hard to tell for sure. I've talked with the woman who asked this question, and I know she really puts a huge emphasis on eating clean at home and not being exposed to toxins, and is very health conscious. So, you know, this could be it, it might not, but that's one thing to keep in mind. It could just be like very clean foods you were having over there. Another thing to keep in mind is toxin exposure. So there could be something in your home or your workplace or somewhere that you are a lot, like mold, that you got a break from by going on vacation. So that is another thing that could play a role. So it's good to just kind of assess what you're having near you. Was there some big thing you got a break from? That can definitely play a role as well. So that's something to look into. And then another one is just being on vacation. It depends, it varies on the person, but for a lot of people, it's very relaxing and a break from like stressful go, go, go kind of life. So they're finally in that like parasympathetic state. They're repairing their body, they're getting lots of sleep, maybe they're having really good food, going outside a lot. So just that lack of stress can also just make you feel so much better. Sometimes also just not thinking about it so much. There's really a balance in health. It's so wonderful to dig into things and learn a bunch and really work hard at this and just learn all these things. It's awesome. But at a certain point, you also kind of just have to step back and listen to your intuition and not overthink it, or you can kind of start driving yourself crazy a little bit. So sometimes that break from like overthinking it can be really helpful too. Yeah, so those are a few reasons why that could happen. It could be a coincidence, probably not, but it's always possible. Yeah, so those are kind of the main reasons why. It doesn't mean you won't be able to heal here or, you know, at your home, but just maybe pinpointing a little more what that is could help you to heal quicker at home. So, you know, if you find out you have some mold in your home, you can deal with that. Or if you're really stressed all the time, you can start working on that. So I would just kind of keep that in mind. Or maybe there's some element of your food you could get a little bit better quality. I remember she got really good food, but just everybody in general, if you're dealing with that, that could be it for sure. Yeah, so I hope that is helpful. If you liked this Q&A and you want like more right now, I have more Q&A videos, so I will link one on the screen. That last Q&A I did, I talked about sourdough, I talked about healing methane SIBO, I talked about if GAPS or carnivore was necessary for healing SIBO, talked about what causes incomplete bowel movements, what to eat when you have histamine intolerance and react to everything, and more. So if you want to know the answer to those questions, check out that other Q&A video that I have. I'll put it on the screen at the end here in a second. I'll also have some more similar videos linked below too. And if you want to be able to ask questions for Q&As in the future, just make sure you follow me somewhere. I've got links below. I announced this first on my Facebook, on my Instagram, to my email list. I put a little notification on YouTube. So wherever you are, you know, look below and you can follow me there. And then you can be notified when I do another Q&A so you can get your questions in. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you did, consider subscribing, giving it a thumbs up, comment down below. Let me know if you like this style of video. I love to hear your feedback and I love to hear your suggestions on what you'd like me to talk about in the future. So please let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, if you want more Q&As, I will link that video right on the screen now.